right, everybody. We had a great conversation here just before. As everyone knows, we have what I like to call the pregame show from 6 to 6:30. Lots of good ideas and stuff comes out over that. But now we've got to get going at 6:30. We have another packed agenda today, and we've got a couple of things going on tonight. You know, the first round is, as you know, we take care of our association's business, and then the second round tonight is we have another member of Manitoba Stronger Together who's going to come out and she's going to talk to you what kind of thought process she's gone through. She's considering running, and you'll notice my words are very careful here because until you're a registered candidate, and the registration for mayors in Manitoba opens, I think, May 1st, and the registration for council members happens, I think, a month after that. So up until the time you're a registered candidate, you can talk about you're considering running. You can talk about some of the issues that you're confronting in your community, and you can talk about those kinds of things. But you cannot say things like "I am running" or "I want your vote." And so we're going to get to it's Mary Lescu, and we're going to get to a discussion with her in a few minutes. And after that, I notice our guest is on. We have Sheila on, and Shelagh McFarlane, and she's going to talk about something that she's been doing for a while now, which is very similar to what we're doing. And one of our members suggested that I get a hold of her, and I believe, Sheila, that I've talked to you before on a couple of things. I just don't quite recall. But in any case, so that's kind of a thumbnail of what we're going to be doing tonight. I'm going to share my screen. Right. So now you're looking at, now I don't have David and Vicky on tonight. They're at an event tonight, so nobody's yelled at me about expanding the share screen so you can actually read it. She's usually right on me like that. But there you go. So there's the agenda. That's the blog post. I know one congratulated me. I got this thing out Monday, and the week before, I remember I had it out on Monday, so I'm, doing really good here. So you should have got this in your email yesterday around noontime. And you can see that all the information about who's presenting tonight, there's actually a little push button here where you can go and visit Sheila's website. And here's the Zoom call link. Also, by clicking on this image, it's a link to the Zoom call as well. So I've got that everywhere. And there's just a little summary of what we're going to cover tonight. We've already talked about that, about the MST member considering running for office. We have Shelagh McFarlane and the Peace, Order, and Good Governance primer that she wrote. She's going to talk about that. And I believe Sheila also ran for office. I think it was in Guelph, but she can talk about that when we get there. I played this video for you guys last week, so I will not play it this week, but I will play it next week. Anthony, is there anything new on this?
No, not a whole lot. They did have a meeting last week, and it was interesting that they spent 15 minutes talking about looking for a new location. So they're going to hire a commercial real estate agent to find them a new office, and they're talking about hiring an new executive director. But after they talked about renting the space, they went into camera for an hour.
Really?
Yeah, so we have no idea what they talked about.
Oh,
Um,
that's interesting. You said there was nothing exciting. That, to me, that's exciting.
yeah, they spent 15 minutes talking about looking for a new office space or getting prices,
Yeah.
and then went into camera for an hour.
What happened after? Did it just end after camera?
Ended. Yeah, they came back out of camera to adjourn the meeting. So that was it. It was, but
Wow.
here's the funny thing, Ken, and this is s- just an instinct, just a gut feeling that I had when they were talking about hiring a new executive director. My first thought went to our mayor here in Stonewall.
Hmm.
So maybe that's why she's not backing out.
Well, that could be. I mean, I
Ooh.
I don't know if you saw the letter, but I did post the letter from the rural municipality of St. Clements Council. It finally came out. And they've actually got a news release on their website talking about how they got out and why. And it's really worth the read. So if you go to the rural municipality of St. Clements, there's news bulletins or news briefs, and there's one on their withdrawal, and they lay out why they got out, and it's exactly what we have been saying for like a year and a half. So, um, the reasons are there. Those mayors who are staying in so far are I don't know what was said in camera, but I can tell you what was said before about how they were didn't know what the report was going to be, didn't know what was in it, and so they couldn't sell it, and yet they're still in.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue in my mind is the fact that I have a hard time on the street selling it. Like I can't think. Like I mean, one of the challenges, or one of my 26 years in municipal politics, I've always felt that I could go to a coffee shop with residents and tell them why we made a decision we made. I cannot. I have a lot of trouble selling this as like what's in it for us as a community, and until we get some tangible evidence that it's actually in it, and I mean, and the province can tangibly say, hey, look, we're putting a $50 million fund on the table for regional plan, for regional projects, or I don't know, pick a number, but I mean, just saying.
But like, even I got stopped on the street at the coffee shop, and right now we're doing a strategic plan for Cartier, and so we're asking the members of the public to come. And they said, "Oh, is this about your regional planning? And why are we joining Winnipeg to help them pay their bills?" This is the mentality that we're getting.
Yeah, I know.
How do I? Like I said, we don't get paid enough for this.
So
Yeah.
that's really interesting, Anthony. That's really interesting. If anybody on here is from Headingley, maybe you want to write a letter to your mayor who kept saying there was nothing in the report, didn't know what was in it, and yet they make a big to-do about transparency, and then they go in camera for the meeting.
Yeah, for an hour. The meeting was, I think, an hour and 18 minutes, and they spent an hour of it in camera.
Oh, this is great. This is great.
Yeah.
I'm going to do such a great post on this tomorrow, you guys. When it comes out, please share it with everybody. This is going to be a masterpiece. I'm telling you, this is going to be great.
Gonna be a
Well,
bang.
I see Rashad's the vice chair, so that's why they're not dropping out. It's just,
This is incredible. And although I don't have this in writing from anyone, what I was told was that any municipality that remains in after the election. Now, you guys all know, because we've talked about it over and over again, how the rules change and they don't have to be released after the election. And so I've been told that the minister stated that if anybody stays in past the election, they will not allow them out for 8 years. 8 years. And so these people are harnessing this crap onto the next councils. And believe me, a lot of these councils are going to be changed thanks to all you folks.
yeah, well, apparently our mayor, and I don't want this to get out, and I know there's people on here like to post stuff, don't. But there's already, our mayor in town has said that she doesn't feel like she's going to get reelected again. So that's what makes me think that maybe she will go as executive director of the WMR. That's why she's not backing out of it.
Oh, but like I said, I mean, what a crooked thing to do, because you saddled the next council and, of course, the people in the municipality with an 8-year prison term in this stupid failed WMR.
Well, if she's gonna be hypothetically perhaps leading the WMR, then of course she wants Stonewall in it.
Yeah, I could be wrong. I could be way out in left field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Well,
is just something that I have a feeling about.
yeah. Well, that wouldn't
funny
surprise
enough, our Reeve, Ken Mulligan is not applying to be a Reeve again too. So, and he's on the board for the WMR as well.
Yeah. Well, from
Oh.
what I understand, the only people that can be on the board are those executives who are in the WMR and then the mayors or the mayor's representative. So if somebody like Mulligan, who's on the board because he's a mayor, if he doesn't get reelected as mayor, he's out unless he takes a staff position. And
Right.
of course, they got two staff positions, don't they? Open the CEO and the executive director. That should give
Yep.
everybody a lot of confidence.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be an interesting year.
Well, like I said, folks, if you want to, if you've been sitting on your hands about writing letters to your counselors and stuff, get writing them. Even if, I mean, the list is right there on the screen in front of you of all the municipalities that have withdrawn and those who have not withdrawn. So you've got the ones that have not withdrawn, of course, City of Winnipeg, the town of Stonewall, town of Niverville, shocking, the RM of Cartier, the RM of Headingley. That I don't want to necessarily pick on Mr. Robson, but you know, to stand up in the board meeting and say he doesn't know what's in the plan, he can't sell it to the people in the coffee shop. He said he's never seen anything like it in 30 years. Now, if you don't think I'm being honest with that, you can go to the Manitoba Stronger Facebook page and you can find that video. And or I think it's also on our YouTube page where he stands up and he lambasts them, but they're still in. So who else we got? The Richaud, arm of Richaud, RM of Rosser, and St. Francis Xavier. I mean, Rosser, I thought they were supposed to vote on that last week.
They were, and I haven't heard anything. So
Oh,
maybe they've just postponed it. I don't know.
well, the interesting thing about minutes on these things, and not all municipalities are like this, but some of those municipalities, particularly the ones that don't videotape their meetings, it takes them 2 months or more before the actual minutes get onto the website. So you never know what's
Yeah.
going on until months later.
Well, St. Francis is the only one that will post the minutes from the WMR meetings.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. St. Francis is the only one that will post them.
Well, that's interesting because, you know, one of the reasons that's so interesting is because you remember when we went on a rant about the councils, we reviewed a whole bunch of different councils' minutes, and we never found a single instance where the mayor came back and explained to the councilors what was going on in the WMR. So a lot of the councils never discussed it, and the councilors never knew what was in it.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. All right, general updates. What do we got here? So we got our candidate training session on tonight. We've got, again, you'll notice one of the things I hope you guys have been noticing is that on Facebook, I signed up to, I can't tell you how many dozens of rural municipalities' Facebook pages. So I'm starting to see all of their announcements, and I'm posting all of that to Manitoba Stronger. So you'll have noticed today a whole bunch of these rural municipalities have put out notices about the election coming up, and that you can go register, or you can get the papers, and these are the people you talk to. So they're all making those announcements, and I've been posting them to Manitoba Stronger Facebook page. If anybody wants to take that on, that little exercise on, that would be great. Sorry, somebody, you can guess who it was, just handed me a note. In any case, it's an interesting one too. But in any case, where was I here? Yes. So if anybody wants to take that little exercise on, I would appreciate it. I'm doing a lot of stuff, and although it doesn't seem like it's a lot. So again, what I've done is I've just gone on Facebook, I've searched rural municipality, and I've signed up to every municipality in Manitoba I could find. And then I get all of their announcements and I'm posting it to Manitoba Stronger. So you'll see it in Manitoba Stronger together. You should have seen that in the last couple of days. That's what's going on there. Bill C-224, That has to do with the natural health products law, or that's it's a private members bill in the federal government. That's what Teresa and Sean came on to talk about last week. I've reposted it here, and you can see where my little cursor is here. You can click on that and go to their website, and they do have automated forms where you just put your name on it and your email address, and then it will send it out to the appropriate members of parliament. And then there's a whole bunch of other stuff there. So if you haven't jumped on that and done it yet from last week, there you go. I've just repeated it there for you. And I just want to remind people that if you go, oh, gee, I can't remember what it was, these things are always on our blog post. So you can always go back on our website, go to the blog, and then you can just go back to the blog post for that week. And all of that information and links and everything is there. Also, all of the videos from these Zoom calls are also on our website under video. We have a YouTube page now, and we have a Rumble page, but you can go to our website and go to videos, and they're all posted there. And all the historical ones are there too. They're all grouped in different categories. And that was at the request of one of our members. They were absolutely right. Thought the way we used to do it was stupid, and so we completely rebuilt that. So the video from last Tuesday only got posted today, by the way, because I've been a little bit over my head in the last, as I've been saying for a while now. In any case, what else have we got here? So this is the leadership program. We've got upcoming Zoom call. I've been working on two really interesting guests for next week, and I'm just having trouble scheduling that with them. So as soon as I know, I will let you guys know. But if it comes through what I want, it's going to be a really interesting evening. So keep your eye open for that. Deb, go ahead.
Okay. Let me see here. All right. The expose exposes net zero premeditated industrial destruction. It's a good read. Winnipeg Sun, Manitoba to rebuild the cardiac care at St. Boniface with $22 million investment. Focal Points, Dr. Peter McCullough discusses the potential role of ivermectin and menbenzenol as adjuvant treatments in cancer care. Rumble, NHPPA, Who Controls Your Land, Sean Buckley and Bruce Party. Very interesting. I highly recommend that everybody watch that. Substack, the Canadian Independent, on Rumble, former Pfizer Europe chief toxicologist tells German government committee why the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine should never have been released, alleges 60,000 deaths in Germany linked to the shot. Slay News exposes R3 Bio recently surfacing as it sought funding to develop what is described a non-sediment monkey organ sacs. It's also goes a little deeper than that. Farm Progress, John Deere settles right to repair lawsuit for $99 million. Epic Times, 23 popular hair dyes test positive for carcinogenic chemicals. Also, there's a screening coming up on Helen Gruss. I believe it's scheduled for June the 1st. If anybody's interested, we can rent a venue. I'll happily pay for it if somebody in Selkirk or Winnipeg is interested. Next one, doctor urges support to bill to block Canadian government from euthanizing the mentally ill. LifeSite News, join the nationwide protest against the anti-Christian Bill C9 on May 1st, May 26th, and I've put the link into that in the chat. So our number one win of the week was Rumble NHPPA, Who Controls Your Land with Sean Buckley and Bruce Party. Number two win of the week was Substack, the Canadian Independent. Former Pfizer Europe chief toxicologist tells the German government committee why the Pfizer COVID shot should have never been released. Win of the week, number three, anyone interested in the screening of Helen Gruss? Anthony Maiden or Chris Debeski. If one of you can secure a venue, I will pay the fee. Honorable mention, join the nationwide protest against the anti-Christian bill C9 on May the 1st.
Deb, on that Helen Grew thing, I contacted them already and have suggested them that we could show this at the Mateo Center. That seemed to be a really good venue for us. I'd like to support Matthew as well. He's a good guy and he believes in everything we're doing. So let's communicate about that this week and we'll see. I haven't got a response back yet from I can't remember if I emailed what's his name? We had him on the show, Donald Best. He's involved, so I did. I believe I emailed him. Haven't heard back. I'll email
Okay.
him. I'll let you know.
But yeah, for sure, we'll definitely communicate because I'm certainly interested in having that being part of that screening.
Yeah. Okay. I'll let you know. James, go ahead. You got your hand up?
Yeah, I heard from Jason Levine this morning. He tells me Bruce Party will be a guest Thursday morning at 8:30 our time.
Okay, on
Just-
Thursday morning. Great.
Just thought people would- yeah.
David, you got your hand up?
Yes. I think I made a post on the Facebook page about the legislature. Back months ago, they threw out another 30 or 40 bills, and they're hearing 6 of them tomorrow. So there's still time for anybody to apply to speak to them. I'm going to speak to as many as 6 that have asked for. And again, the link is in the post I made yesterday. The bills are not that, whatever let's say, not that earth-shattering, but one of them, Bill 14, we were told was going to improve the usefulness of whistleblowing, protect whistleblowers. But as far as I can see, it only protects people if it says Gov of Manitoba on your paycheck. If you work for Hydro or anybody else or a private company, you're not protected in any way.
Yeah.
So that's just Bill 14 needs improvement, so I'll be asking for that. The others deal with management of organizations.
Put it on your list. Bill 29.
Bill 29 is the board, conflicts of interest on the U of Winnipeg board. It says there should be a conflict of interest rule, and it leaves it up to the the board to set their own ethical rules. And we noticed that Sherry Walsh was appointed by her friend Brian Bowman to be the ethics reference person for City Council. She's taken a similar job for WAB to hide things and investigate. And it's uncertain who's taking over or if anybody, because as we found out, the government of Canada likes having no but parliamentary budget officer to point out when they're being crooked, so they just won't have one.
Build them quicker.
Anyway, so it may not ever be a city one. Anyway, so Bill 39 is to punish anybody who wants to set up a data center here. We only have a certain amount of power. We're on the edge of not having enough for the lights. And so that's Bill 39. 46, it plays with securities and maybe will restrict people cheating and that sort of thing. And 48 is government setting aside lands for their own purposes. It only tweaks that rule. It's already there that a town can have an easement on part of your property, and they may at some point decide to execute it without your being able to object. That was Bill 48. 49 deals with computer-based pricing, and it's hard to say whether that includes member pricing because it's written vaguely. It's written as if a big retailer is going to use a computer to say, this person's not paying attention, let's charge them extra. And I'm not sure that happens, but that's Bill 49. So
Well,
6 bills.
And on the 39 one, not only do we not maybe almost don't have enough power, but the feds are pushing all these electric cars, and then we're for sure not going to have enough power. It's just going to.
Yeah, but that's beside the
gonna
point.
be
The
bad.
Bill 39 is just to say that any monster user of power will have to pay double. So in other words, if the rolling mill in Selkirk pays this much a kilowatt hour, A data center would pay twice that much. So they're basically just trying to scare them away, which is the left's way of dealing with governing. We scare away oil developments if we're out west, and here we scare away power users. Anyway, that's the main thing. And
Okay. Deb, you want to do your helpful hints?
Okay, well, we're just going to finish up the benefits of lemongrass, and it's very nice in culinary cooking, of course. Just a heads up, speaking from experience, be careful how you use it because it can overpower a meal if you're not too careful. Especially the homegrown stuff. It can have quite a punch and almost be too much. But it's very healthy for you, and you can pair it with a lot of complementary ingredients, whether it be coconut milk, ginger, garlic, chili, and the like. It's especially nice in seafood and chicken. Lemongrass tea is very good and refreshing. Lemongrass rice is very nice. It just changes up the rice. Lemongrass salad dressing. And if you want more detail on it, just read the notes that have been included in this week's health hints, and you can play with it from there.
Wonderful. Thank you, Deb. We're getting a little behind time, so I'm going to move right along here to our member. Now I'm going to find. So everyone, who we're listening to this evening is Mary Lescu. She's a Manitoba Stronger Together member, and she's been considering, and you'll appreciate my language if you've been following us, she's considering running for a council position in the election this fall. So we thought that she could come on and give us a little bit of an introduction. So Mary, welcome. And can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you live, and what are the issues, and why are you thinking about running?
Well, let's see. I've been in St. Andrews for 36 years. Raised my sons out here. I don't know. I worked at Winnipeg Transit. I went back to school at some point when my kids were in school to become a truck transport mechanic. So I'm a Red Seal truck transport mechanic. And I retired when they started to impose mandates, which was fine. It didn't hurt me financially in any way, but they were hell bent on, everybody go and get your injection. And I said, nope, sorry, I'm out of here. But yeah, I lived out here for 36, or I live out here, and I've lived out here for 36 years. Got remarried in 2008, I believe, yeah, 2008. And I don't know, I don't know. Can you ask me something? Because I can ramble on all night.
Oh, absolutely. Was there a specific moment or a specific thing that you've seen starting to happen in your community that really forced you to start thinking about, maybe I've got to get involved more than just voting?
Well, I occasionally have people calling me, do you know what the council's trying to do? And I'm like, no, not really. So, and then I had a phone call one time. This put the icing on the cake when somebody said they're planning on putting a 76 unit build on River Road. And I says, excuse me? What do you mean a 76 unit build on 20 acres, needless to say? So they're side by sides. They're 1,800 square feet per side by side. So it's 900 square feet of living space on a slab starting at 550,000. And I'm thinking, what, either, you got to be completely out of your mind. Do you think that somebody's going to come along and buy 76 units at that price and then pay the $700 condo fee? And this is a good thing. Where's the water? We have a volunteer fire department. Who's going to put out a fire if there's a fire? It's a gated community. So you're going to see all these people running towards the end of the gate to get out of there. So they're thinking of punching through 38 wells. So now the water table is going to be compromised because people already told me during droughty summers, their water pressure is not water pressure so much as they start getting silt in their water. So it's running low. So what do you think the 38 wells are going to do? So then they keep, And we had over 600 signatures when we went to council. And they said, well, you can't present it. And nobody knew why. They said, well, it's too late. What do you mean it's too late? It's being presented right now. Red River Planning said not a good idea. They refused to take our signatures, so they passed it with a variance. So now it has to go, they have to jump through a bunch of hoops in order for the builder to actually break ground and go ahead with it. And now they're trying all kinds of things now. They're completely disregarding the residents. There's a bunch of really weird things going on. Like, for example, they're bragging that they paid $100,000 for a bunch of fill that they brought in for some either soccer field or little car go-kart racetrack thing. And I'm thinking, like, geez, you guys must be stupid because you don't pay for fill. I mean, there's houses being built all over the place. They're digging basements. You think these truck drivers want to take it to Brady and pay for it to dump it? Just call them or stop them on the road or something and say, hey, do you want to dump it here? I mean, everybody around us gets free fill if they need it. But anyway, I think they're spending money needlessly. They have no regard for the residents. They don't listen to the residents. They do their own thing. They've actually shut people down during the meetings when they're supposed to be talking. It's bureaucracy at its best. And every time I go to these meetings, it's never a good outcome, ever.
Oh.
And even they were voting on having a meeting to see if they could kind of hold a little session where somebody wants to run for, if somebody wants to run for mayor or council, that they can kind of direct them in what direction to go. And they voted it down because they're all running again. I'm like, geez, you guys.
Well, one of the things the thing that you're talking about is probably the number one issue in, excuse me, West St. Paul, East St. Paul, St. Andrews, Ward 1 of St. Clements. Our councils that are supposed to be representing us are taking the attitude that developers from Winnipeg have a right to bring in high density, low income housing into our areas, depress the housing market for all of you that escaped Winnipeg and have nice rural homes, cause who knows what damage to the aquifer, or the sewage plants can't take the load. And yet they're still pushing these things. St. Clements is the same thing. West St. Paul, not as much now. East St. Paul, St. Andrews. This is an interesting development. So, Mary, I think you're hitting the issue on the nose because there's these huge developments coming out in your neighborhood and my neighborhood and a couple of others around there that just doesn't seem to make any sense.
Well, I know we have a cast off from West St. Paul for our CAO. He was basically, Joy Sewell, our mayor, said, "Oh, come on in." Didn't tell anybody. He wasn't voted in. He just just took over. And there was a rumor. Actually, I heard from two reliable sources that JC Paving was part of the reason why he was told to leave West St. Paul. But there was other shenanigans going on, and who's doing this 76 unit build? Oh, JC Paving. Gee, that's not,
Yeah, I heard that same information from a counselor. So,
well, somebody called him on it at the meeting, and he scoots out of the room, and Mayor's Joy gets up, and she's screaming and yelling, "That's hearsay! You guys don't know what you're doing! How dare you!" Blah, blah. Like, oh my gosh. Like, prove us wrong then.
well, you're right. You're absolutely right. It's like, screaming and yelling and calling you names. I'm surprised they didn't call you guys all misogynists and racists like Mr. Trudeau did when we didn't want to take the shot, which I guess puts you in the same boat as a misogynist and racist like the rest of us, Mary. Remember when Mr. Trudeau said that about us?
Yeah, they put off a meeting one time, and I kind of said, I have to comment because, I mean, she put it right out there. She says, well, we want to put this meeting off because there's too many signatures here, so we have to take it to the municipal board or something like that. I says, well, can we delay it till after October 28th? She did not like that.
Well, there have been changes to I think it's Article 33 of the Municipal Act. You know what? I'll do a thing on this next week. But essentially, the way this kind of stuff used to work, as I understand it, and I'll confirm this for you guys next week. But as I understand the way these used to work, when a council would hear a developer, for instance, a developer wanted to come in, and the council would hear, if the council turned it down, or if they approved it and someone disagreed, they could get a certain number of signatures together and it would go to the municipal board, and the municipal board would make a decision and that would stand. That has now been changed so that the municipal board is no longer the final say. If the municipal board rules one way or the other, the council can still override them. And that's a new development. So that will empower the new council that might be coming in there in the fall. So.
Well, I also heard that it used to be 25 signatures, then they raised it to 300 signatures, and then there's a specific time frame where you have to actually give them the signatures. I don't know where that's written. I'm still looking for that part. But as long as you had 600 signatures, and our mayor said, well, no, you can't use them because it's too late. Well, what do you mean it's too late? Like, we're at the meeting. Here's the signatures.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like there's no rules. It's their rules, their regulations. They run the show. They obviously have no respect for anybody that disagrees with them. Sounds kind of familiar, like what's happening in our government right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you don't agree with them, then you're the enemy.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's happening right now. Like nobody listens to anybody. Nobody gets email. You email them. They just email you a cookie cutter answer or whatever. You have maybe one council out of the whole council and mayor that'll get back to you and actually talk to you and discuss things with you. And then they're throwing around that, oh, this municipality's broke and people are moving out. People are leaving the municipality. I'm thinking, geez, so the kids move out, the house still stays, you're still collecting taxes on this house, but the population is going down. Did you think about what you're doing? Or saying, like, the houses don't go with the kids. The houses stay. The houses are still being built.
Yeah.
And they want to make tiny little lots because, the municipality's going broke and your taxes are going to go up because of it. And so they're trying to play the guilt trip on everybody, thinking, okay, if you have half-acre lots, that equals, you have 10 half-acre lots, you're collecting like 4,000 or 5,000 per house. Okay, that's okay. And people are just in awe. Their mouths are hanging open going like, what is the reasoning behind all this?
No, you're absolutely right. And again, they've forgotten, particularly in these suburban communities, they've forgotten why people are there. We accept that there's certain amenities that we don't have because we don't want to live in Winnipeg. All this high density, low income housing coming in, it's changing the entire community, and it's just not right. So in any case, Mary, I got to move on, but it was great. This is a first introduction. I hope that when you make your decision and sign up, that you're going to come back on. And also, if anybody here who lives in St. Andrews wants to have a chat with Mary and perhaps wants to help out if she decides to go.
Oh, help is good. Help is good.
So we'll have you on again, Mary, and we'll do an appeal for folks to come out and help. But thanks a lot for coming on tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sheila, thank you very much for coming on. It was one of our members that approached me. Of course, I've been following what you've been doing, but one of our members approached me about a week ago and said, you got to bring Sheila on. So that's why I got a hold of you, I think the same day. So I'm so glad that you were able to come out. Can you give our members a little bit of an idea about who you are, a little bit about your history, and then go right into it about what you've been doing?
Well, I do go into my history a little bit in the presentation, but I'm not really here to talk about myself. I'm more here to talk about the information. So this is a message that I think is very, very important for people to understand now. And it's wonderful that this is happening in a year where we have a municipal election. So it's an opportunity to get this out and about. So if you don't mind, it's about 30 minutes. So I'd like to walk it through
Go
and
right
then I'll
ahead.
take any questions afterwards. I tried to make it as short as I can, but I didn't want to leave too many gaps. So if I could share my screen, I'll just get started.
Okay, we've got to make you a co-host to do that. There you go. You should be able to share your screen now.
Is that on?
Yep.
Perfect.
Well, you need to do your share on your side, right?
Oh, I do? Okay.
Yeah, but you're
Sorry,
yeah,
I've only
okay.
done this, this will be my third time.
Well, you'll see how we were struggling, and we've been doing this for 2.5 years. It's right at the bottom. You should see a little white square that says share on it.
Yep, there we
And then,
go.
yeah, there we go.
There we go. And can you see that?
We can, yep.
Perfect. And then I guess I do that, right? Okay. Thanks. I am a little bit tech challenged. So, yeah, my name is Sheila McFarlane, and I really appreciate being invited. I've been involved at the local level for over 20 years now as a candidate, a researcher, and an author. I've published 3 books in the last 3 years, the POGG Primer, the Protocol, and the Protocol Playbook. POGG, P-O-G-G, is an acronym for Peace, Order, and Good Governance, which is a doctrine in law that states that a government must act according to these principles, or they are deemed to be de facto or illegitimate. The POGG Primer outlines the local problem that we're all facing today, and we just heard some of it. The protocol outlines what I believe is the local solution. And the playbook is the companion guide to both of these, breaking the solution down into doable action paths that people can start to take. It's my belief that with these 3 documents, every Canadian town will now have the bridge that they've been looking for to move out of administrative municipality control and back into local stewardship peacefully. Whoops, what am I doing here? This work is a summary of the research of 2 great men, Ron Stevens from Kincardine, Ontario, who gave me the founding United Nations restructuring documents that all Canadian mayors received in the 90s, and my late husband, Art Koberinsky, who researched law and the money system. Art and I ran locally in 2014 to stop this agenda, but election interference makes it impossible to change this politically. He passed in 2018 and I stopped fighting, but in 2020, when I witnessed the power of the UN agenda, I got active again and ran for mayor of Guelph, Ontario. Although municipal elections don't work, and you'll see why, they're a great way to get information out to everyone in your area, and we can use this year's scheduled election as an opportunity to educate the electorate and to disengage from these sustainable development goals being implemented locally in your towns. The POGG Primer was a brief history of local municipal public-private partnerships, PPPs. It was published in 2023 and outlined how local governments were restructured when municipalities introduced public-private partnerships and non-governmental organizations, NGOs. This chart, which I include in all 3 POGs, compares the 3 legal creatures presently operating in your city halls: the public office, the private service corporation, and a regional municipality, which is a public-private partnership combining those 2. It's not a level of government. It's not, anyway, we'll get into this. These offices differ significantly in jurisdiction and authority, and 2 of these offices are signed on to the UN agenda goals. So the bottom line is, due to municipality restructuring, our local officials now sit in all 3 columns and act in 3 different legal offices simultaneously: public, private, and international. The playbook and this upcoming election can be used to clarify which column they're acting in and where the voters want them to be. So how did this happen? A bit of history. Canada is considered a constitutional monarchy, and I think Sean and Bruce were talking about that at the OLA a couple of weeks ago. The Charter defines 2 levels, federal and provincial jurisdictions. So what's the 3rd level of government? Or are there only 2? Key thing to note here is the term municipal institutions, mentioned in section 92, which are under provincial jurisdiction. Yet both of those words are undefined in the Charter. And if you know lawyers and legalese, you'll understand why. What's the local area government? Is it an independent office, a municipal institution, a corporation? Does it belong to the province? Well, it's an independent juristic legal entity with independent judicial, legislative, and financial taxation powers. The key thing to note here is that in a public office, the mayor is head of local government, overseeing the administration, and a treasury. This is the lawful structure of your local public office, with the mayor as the chief, shire reeve, or sheriff, not some beck and call boy for the province. So let's fast forward. When Canada signed on to the UN agenda in 1992, municipalities were redefined in order to implement the UN Sustainable Development Goals locally. And these new municipalities were given the authority to administrate our local elections and to issue the oath to the winning candidates. However, the winning mayor candidate in a municipal election becomes a CEO for the service corporation, not a head of the 3rd level of government. The municipal election problem: it forms the wrong government. When election administration shifted from a public function to a municipal one, it altered the legal character of the election and the results. While municipal elections may be legally valid, they fail entirely in their public purpose. Instead of creating a local area government office administrated by the elected officials with a non-municipal independent treasury, voters get a municipal government controlled by an unelected CAO, with local revenue funding the UN Agenda Sustainable Goals. But no worries. The 2026 election is the perfect opportunity to correct this legal mistake. And we actually have a duty to, because this structure usurps all public assets and breaches all public trust accounts in your local area. COVID proved that mayors transfer their area into the UN Agenda 2130. This is a copy of the City of Guelph emergency order my mayor, Cam Guthrie, was ordered to sign in 2021. All Global Strong city mayors had to. This form they signed transferred geographical jurisdiction over to the World Health Organization to initiate lockdowns and clinical trials of mRNA technology. This is why I ran against Cam Guthrie for mayor of Guelph. This form is proof of a de facto mayor signing an international United Nations document issued on private corporate city letterhead, which means our mayors are signing in 3 different legal capacities simultaneously and with no legal authority for any of them, which is title fraud. They sign as public mayors they were never sworn in as, private CEOs for a service corporation they weren't elected to be, and an international head of council for a United Nations public-private partnership way beyond the purview of the local office. And the key thing to note here is that these two positions, the elected mayor and the unelected CAO, have full control of your town in this municipality structure and no public input, which we were hearing about prior to this. They can write a bylaw to put a needle in your arm, and they did. A city bylaw, no different than a parking ticket. POGG helps republic the local office to restore local governance using the 2026 municipal election cycle. In other words, using the playbook helps people understand the three legal creatures operating simultaneously at the local level and which one they will trust this year with their money and their public assets. The playbook starts by explaining what is local government. Most people think they have a local government, elected public representatives, but what's actually operating day to day is municipal administration, operations. Every legal system needs a man or a woman decision maker. However, their authority is exercised through an office chair. This maintains the continuity of government during election cycles. The man holds the office, but the chair carries the legal powers. And they have very different characteristics. The elected man can hear you and sign things on your behalf. A statutory chair can't. And we've been talking to statutory chairs and electing statutory chairs. Whoops, where am I here? Quick review of what local government and how it's created. Local authority starts with local people. Constituents vote in a public election held under public scrutiny. The elected office holder swears into public office, accepting both executive duties and the legal obligations of the administrative chair. The elected man holds public law powers, which is a fiduciary duty to the people who put him into office. But the office chair holds statutory legal powers for administrating services only. What's that word? Sorry. Since mayors and councilors are elected to represent people and are responsible for their shared public resources, local government is a trust relationship and stewardship. Municipal government, however, is the internal governance of the service corporation and its day-to-day operations. An elected mayor has two different roles or legal offices, but they differ significantly. The office of the mayor is for public administration. The office of a head of council is for municipal administration. The mayor is accountable to voters, but the chair is defined by municipal acts. And a mayor, reeve, or warden has a custodial duty for the vulnerable in his area. But a chair can't comprehend sorrow or suffering, and a chair can't hold a pen to sign checks on your behalf. Or subject to conflict of interest principles, which was mentioned prior to this too. So which government is your mayor in? Can he be in both? Can he stand and sit at the same time? These two offices come with different structures. In local government, the elected mayor and councilors oversee the municipal corporation and local services. For anything local, water, waste, roads, and the maintenance of your local amenities, parks, arenas, schools. But in municipal government, the chair follows code and is owned by the province. The chair can only give you the services the province tells it to. So the key thing to note here is that a mayor is head of local government in a public structure, but he's only head of council in a municipal one. And he's controlled by the municipal CAO's office. So when councilors, they don't get sworn in as councilors, they get sworn in as a member of a municipal council. So it's just a fraud all throughout it when you start to open up the Pandora's box. Is a municipal election for the man, the chair, or both? If voters and candidates don't know what the election's for, it negates the office the election created. No one can consent to something they don't know about or understand. A public election is for a public trustee and a local agenda. A municipal election, however, is for a municipal administrator for Agenda 2030. This is why public-private partnerships frustrate every elected official. They can't serve two masters. They can't fix your roads as a local priority because roads and private vehicles are unsustainable in the global agenda and therefore not in a municipal budget. Mayors can't act with judgment or discretion if they're stuck in a chair that's owned by a global government system. So a mayor's primary focus would be his duty to serve you, but the chair's primary focus is to make sure the files and the records are in order and the registrations. When a municipality acts like a public office, it's called mission creep. A private mission creeps into the public office. Sound familiar? Ultimately, the people in the town will go bankrupt, which was mentioned previously too. The municipality takes full financial control using property tax statutes in the first column, full regulatory control using building codes, retrofits, and inspections in the second column, and full control of all your essential public services like water, hydro, and housing using the Municipal Act and private energy agreements. And with municipality regulatory capture, what results is administrative penalty loops. When justice is replaced by an administrative penalty system that operates outside the judiciary, people soon become the subjects and objects of commercial regulations. This produces a system where public services like water and hydro can be shut off for refusing a smart meter. Properties can be overassessed to increase provincial tax revenue. And officers enforce de facto corporate bylaws in lieu of de jure public law, which means there is no law, only administrative powers and penalty loops. And judicial capture leads to a local state of emergency. Instead of law, we have administrative code. Instead of courts of justice and grand juries, we have commercial administrative tribunals. And instead of peace officers, we have bylaw officers. One keeps the peace, but the other just enforces policy and generates revenue for the state. So, what can we do when elections create administrators instead of trustees? When administration acts like a public office? When fiscal powers are executed without stewardship? And when there's no law, only administrative loops and powers? The solution, and we can use this election to educate the people about this, the playbook offers a non-adversarial way to clarify local authority. Each chapter outlines the problems I've mentioned, and each one ends with a notice protocol to follow. The candidate's guide includes the official's playbook and information package with this information that gets sent to the sitting officials, the notice templates and instructions for the action paths, and campaign materials for new candidates preparing to run for their local public office. And there's lots of in Ontario who are getting ready to run for mayor, and there's a lot of women standing to run for mayor in Ontario. And we haven't, like you say, we haven't even gotten to May 1 registration yet. So mama bears are standing, man, and I'll help them every way I can. The playbook educates and supports sitting officials, constituents, which are men and women, unregistered non-municipal men and women, candidates preparing to run in the 2026 municipal election to republic their local office. And these are being held in Canada in BC, Manitoba, Ontario, New Brunswick, PEI, Yukon, and Yellowknife. So I'm kind of hoping that we can connect all of these provinces, much like what Manitoba's doing, love the work, that are holding elections this year, and network all the candidates in tandem and so they can support each other. If we launch this in unison, we could restore this nationally and peacefully. And the other provinces wouldn't have to wait for their next election cycle because we can set the template and they can watch. Republicing the office involves everyone in your town. Officials, candidates, and constituents all have a role in the restoration of their government. So the playbook provides a path for everyone. The 3-notice protocol is used to clarify the local office jurisdiction and this year's local municipal election administration. Each path offers a way to ensure peaceful trust realignment and provides a judicial remedy if the notices are ignored or lead to default. The notices follow standard legal and banking procedures, so they can't be dismissed as pseudo-legal. And the protocol uses the same principles that judges rely on every day, which are to verify personal, subject matter, and territorial jurisdiction before any man or woman can be charged. Verifying jurisdiction doesn't destroy an institution. It's the very thing needed to restore it and preserve it. The A path is the most preferable one. It's the official's voluntary realignment and trust. They're given this information in a package, which includes a statement of realignment and oath clarification that they can issue publicly immediately. When they do, there's no need for the other 2 paths or any notices because this fixes the problem. It separates the public money from the private global municipal initiatives. Voluntary realignment by the official preserves the dignity of the office and all office holders, including the sitting councillors, restores local fiduciary powers immediately. It corrects all municipal land registrations and records at once. It's the simplest way to end commingling of public and private trust accounts. Plus, this includes every constituent, resident, and the homeless who don't have a postal code in the geographical area. And it's the simplest, safest, cheapest path to restoration because it prevents further escalation and liability. And realigned mayors can initiate forensic audits of the public accounts right away because they're already there in City Hall, ready to go. Just fix their oath. And the town, however, if the sitting official doesn't take this path, it's then up to the constituents to step up and for the new and former candidates to step in, or the town gets the local government that they deserve. Both new and former candidates use the 3-notice protocol to clarify the past and future elections. Basically finding out what was the past election for and what's the next one going to be for, a public mayor or a municipal head of council. The first letter candidates send to the official is a notice of local assembly formation, informing them that constituents are very concerned and beginning to organize. And candidates can start holding town hall events right away, distributing flyers to educate their area about what's happened and what's happening. Candidates use the notices to clarify the jurisdiction of the office that they ran for or that they're preparing to run for, preserve the integrity of our local public elections, ensure public stewardship and the POGG doctrine in the future, and educate constituents to help initiate the transition to lawful governance. And what a platform to run on, a campaign only about public fiscal responsibility, local money for local issues only, families and neighborhoods first. No outside climate change issues, no debates about proposed provincial infrastructure projects like fleets of electric buses or a rapid rail, no 15-minute city negotiations. Town hall scripts and campaign flyers are included in the candidates guide, but I could use some help with this part because, well, I'm just the broad that called the fraud. The C path is where constituents use the notices to clarify the official's legal capacity and municipal records. So in other words, the oath and the title that your officials are signing under, they need to like kind of show what made them a mayor, what made them a ward councillor. The 3 notices are a safe and effective way to clarify municipality records, provides an inexpensive judicial process for unresolved concerns. It offers officials an opportunity, several opportunities actually, to realign without penalty. And it's an easy, free 3-notice protocol to empower people and restore balance, equity, and peace. And candidates provide their constituents with the notice templates and education, and they support their constituents during this process so that it's not just random notices thrown at officials haphazardly just to get out of a parking ticket or out of paying property tax. This needs to be systematic and in unison. So I would like to see standing candidates for their areas control the notices and host the town halls, etc. The notices help determine office jurisdiction, the legal capacity of sitting officials, and are used to correct municipal records. Canadian courts have consistently ruled that public officials are fully liable if they knowingly act beyond their legal authority and purview of the office, willingly engage in actions that cause harm or risk public health and security, or use a public office deliberately for personal, political, or financial gain. They're easy to follow steps, all done locally, peacefully, and collectively. Step 1 is you read the POGG Primer, Protocol, and Playbook with 60 pages total, lots of pictures. Step 2, you form your local council assembly to do the action paths collectively and together. Step 3, you send the officials' playbook and assembly letter to your sitting officials. Step 4, when you're ready, send the notice associated with each action path, a notice to admit, opportunity to cure, notice of fault, proceeding to judicial review, blah, blah, blah. Step 5 is allow reasonable response time between notices. These are lawful notices, so there's not any set 20 days, 30 days. And since it's a local emergency, you can hammer these notices through, I would say 72 hours, give them, man. Like people are dying here. And step 6, if necessary, you file the notices in small claims court for a trust claim and record realignment for $108 in Ontario, and you get your money back when and if you win. And you pretty much win because these guys aren't under public oath and they're administrating public securities without right. So in closing, the POGG Playbook offers 4 peaceful solutions to restore your local public office using the protocol action paths. Number 1, sitting officials can voluntarily realign in trust. Number 2, former candidates can clarify the previous election, what it was for. New candidates can clarify what this upcoming election is for and the capacity of the sitting official. And the constituents can clarify the local public and private trust administration, which is your all caps public security and the estate surety birth bond underneath that's surety for it. So in summary, as I stated at the start, under the POGG doctrine and law, a public office is to operate in complete alignment with peace, order, and good governance, or the administration is deemed tyrannical. Elected officials have a duty to protect the health, welfare, and security of every person in their geographical area. If they don't, their local authority is illegitimate and de facto. Every living man, woman, and child in Canada has a moral and statutory duty to disobey de facto possession of their sovereign, lawful, peaceful powers, especially if a government is causing harm to their loved ones, homestead, and public-private affairs. So help them God. So to close, The POGG protocol playbook is a number of things. It's a guide for candidates to understand and restore their local areas to stewardship this year. It's a shared path for constituents and candidates to do together. It corrects a major structural problem by successfully separating administration from the public trust office, its duties and holdings. It's non-adversarial, corrects municipality records without conflict or cost. It's designed to de-escalate disputes, protect the public, reduce litigation risk and karma, and it allows for lawful adjudication when or if administrative venues are exhausted. Nothing here bypasses law. It's just correcting a legal mistake that these public-private partnerships created. Local governance doesn't need a major overhaul. It just needs to be clarified and realigned to its public purpose. The playbook can be used by any candidate in any town or city across Canada. And to close, the POGG Primer and the protocols are both on my website, as well as the founding United Nations restructuring documents and other valuable materials. The playbook will be released next month, but I'd love to do a national launch if Manitoba's interested and I can get a little bit of help. So like you said, candidates can register May 1. And yeah, I just want to say thanks to Ken for the opportunity to share my work with you and Manitoba Stronger. So thanks.
Traditionally, we've got folks who are going to ask questions. Have you got time for that, Sheila?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I'm here for.
Wonderful, folks. I just wanted to say that we'll go a little bit longer. We'll postpone our training session till next week, and that's all fine. But if you've got questions, pop up your hands. Connie, you're the first one. Go right ahead.
I mean, before she starts, I'm just going to pop in the chat the copy of the slides and just a media release that I'm working on with Karen Hanna of Life Force Nation. She's helping me out a lot. And so, I mean, this is all just gelling now. So this is kind of where I'm really grateful to touch base with you, Ken. Thanks.
Sheila, if you could send me that stuff on my email, which you have, and I'll distribute it. And just before we get to the questions, sorry, I'm just going to share my screen for just a second and remind folks that in our blog post, you'll see that right under here, there is a button to visit Sheila's website. So you don't have to write anything down necessarily. And if you click that, it takes you to the website and you can see all the downloads of the information right here. So I just wanted to mention that before we get on to our questions. And Connie, you go right ahead.
Hi, Sheila. Good evening. Thank you very much for that load of information. I wanted to know, whereabouts are you from? I missed that.
Guelph, Ontario.
Okay. Do you know a person called Lisa Robertson?
Yes, actually, right now I'm in Durham Region working with all 8 townships that are usurped by one municipality. She's running for mayor in Pickering. So yeah, I'm organizing those 8 townships now in Ontario.
That's fantastic news. She needs help down there real bad.
Yes, indeed.
Last question. All of this corruption, as we know, a lot of us know, comes from the top. The World Economic Forum. At one time I used to think it was just like fantasy, but so many people are into that, but it's the truth. And then it comes from the UN and the WHO and all of this stuff, and it all trickles down into the governments, as you know, into the municipal, the provincial, then into municipal. How do you stop that corruption from just coming in there and buying the votes? Like, what's going on?
You take it down at the knees. You separate the public from the private, the money from the program. Just like the thread that keeps a feed bag or a seed bag together. The oath is the only thing that's holding all of this together. The oath that your mayors and councillors take when they go into office. So if you pull that oath or that thread off that feed bag in just the right way, the public and the private separate real peacefully and easily. You're just removing the money from funding those.
Because like with this group, There's a lot of education that has been put out, and a lot of people are learning from this group. It's a fantastic group. But to speak frankly, had I not known about this, I wouldn't care about what you're talking about. I'm sorry.
No, I don't care about it either, girlfriend.
Yes,
Seriously.
yes, you do.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it as simple as possible, as uniform as possible, so we can all do this and then we can all just celebrate this summer. Like we can, if we started this in May, the notice process, and there's only 3 days between notices, we got to actually get on top of this in a month. And July 1 could be a real celebration for Canada. We'd go back to being the peacekeepers of the world. That's how simple, and I know it sounds funny, but that's how simple it is. We just undo what the UN did at the local level. They stole our elected officials. That's it.
I'm all for that.
Yeah.
Awesome work. Thank you very much.
Well,
Thank you.
I remember, I think it was the final witness we had at the supplemental hearings at the NCI in Regina. We had a fellow by the name of Rogowski on, and he was talking about the new WHO protocols that had just been passed at the UN. And I remember the lawyer who was questioning him was freaking out because he was trying to say that this will never affect Canada. And Mr. Rogowski was saying, well, if they adopted it, will. And sure enough, 2 or 3 months later, the Canadian government adopted those WHO emergency measures. Go ahead, Deb. Yeah, there you go.
That was the founding document that came in 94, a municipal primer, priming our mayors and councillors to get ready to go municipal.
Yep.
So that's what is on my website. Read it and you'll understand how they trickled in real slowly. It's taken 30 years, but you'll understand how we got to where we are. But again, we don't want to talk about how we got here. I want to talk about how the hell we get out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we're going to do too is I'll approach Maggie if she's still around. I haven't seen her for a while. I don't know how active Maggie Hope Braun is anymore, but that's her specialty on environment, the United Nations environmental things. Deb, go ahead.
Yeah, Sheila, one of the questions that I had, you had mentioned that the UN had put in or gave the municipalities this pandemic form. Would the municipality have had to have a resolution on that to pass it and make it? They didn't.
No, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so technically then it's not valid in the RM.
Bingo.
Okay, thank you.
None of this is valid. It's all fraud, and fraud vitiates all, which means anything that they have done in the past, anything they are presently doing, and anything they've signed on to do in the future are all nullified at the get-go. And so when the new mayor steps in, what I would envision and why I ran for mayor is I would send everything to clearinghouse, a financial clearinghouse, to go through, okay, what bills get paid, and boom, a forensic audit of everything, shut down all the partnerships to do with international, so yeah.
Yep, that's very true. And that's what Maggie's been pushing for as well. Mary, go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. So can we approach our council right now at the moment? Do you think they're going to run if we hand them this and say, hey, you guys have to kind of,
like I say, I'd like to do it I'd like to do it uniform. Number one, it controls the demolition. If you start firing notices at your councillors, they could run. And what happens there in municipal government is they just fill the spot. They can replace, the CAO can replace a mayor, and they can, well, look at Lisa Robinson. She was just, suspended. So we're dealing with a big system, but we can peacefully take it. So what I suggest is people get candidates ready in place that cover each position, each council position and the mayor position. So that's a local assembly kind of replacement. And they control, and they launch the notices in unison to the sitting councillors and offer them all a chance to realign. And then they would act as mentors with them, in a transition kind of thing. But I don't know how it's going to unfold, but I really don't like the idea of notices just being fired without people in place number one, harbor the public securities, and to make sure that all municipal services are maintained and nothing shut down in any of this. So somebody's got to be responsible. And so I'm hesitant to release the notices because they are very powerful, until people or areas have people in place. Well, as soon as we default one mayor, the system's done. It'll prove that all global mayors are de facto, and the system flips. So I would like to see, again, towns getting ready, like Mary. You could kind of figure out who else would run for council in the other wards, and then start working together, organize your town halls, start educating, blah blah blah. But again, I can't say what you would do, but I'd like to control this peacefully.
Yeah. Because
All right.
I figure that our council and mayor are way too far gone to even
Yes.
consider something like this.
Yes. And then so what would happen in that case is the candidate, so you would send the notices to the sitting councillor. If the sitting councillor either doesn't answer you or can't prove that they are authorized to administrate public securities, you default them, and then you would walk that forward into small claims court to default that position, and then you could actually order to stand as interim councillor due to a local state of economic emergency. So this is how fast it could flip, right? You know what I mean? Because you've just proven that that counselor is sitting at a municipal table saying that they're public. And so this is actually will trigger all of Cal Washington's notices of liability and all the everything, because the mayors and councilors mayors mostly have received tens of thousands of notices of liability, and they're just waiting to be monetized. So, it's a very fragile system, and I think we should do it carefully. We've got all the cards, so it's just let's do it carefully.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
well, this gives me hope for
Oh,
sure. Sorry.
Mary.
Yeah. Email me and let's talk, Mary, for sure.
Okay.
Don't be afraid of running, man. I was kind of shaking running for mayor of Guelph, because Guelph is like Cam is the global covenant mayor of the world, and it's a real 15-minute city. But when I woke up the day of elections closing, I saw that there was 4 people running against my mayor. One was a homeless guy in a wheelchair, God bless his soul. One was a university student that was sort of a transgender or whatever, and then 2 were just, so I went into the city hall that morning, threw my $200 down on the table, didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I knew I had to get on the ballot. And that's all you have to do, Mary. You really don't have to do anything. Get your name on the freaking ballot. Then you're standing, right? So it's not a scary thing. And it truly would be an honor. You'll be a local hero. Truly.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
James, go
I'll
ahead.
email you.
Yeah.
Where have you been all our lives, Sheila? God bless you. God bless you, my dear.
Phew. The system hasn't been ready. My late husband Art tried to do this in 2010 with our house. Our house was under a foreclosure attack by TD Canada Trust. And so he was trying to challenge the mortgage, asking for proof of loan and original wedding contract or whatever. And so that's why he started researching the money and Well, because he realized that a mayor, if he could get in as mayor, he would have the highest authority over not only the house that was being held as surety by TD Canada Trust. He'd have fiduciary authority over him and me that live in the house, the residents, and he'd be the public administrator of the Crown land that the house was on. So he could actually take down TD Canada Trust because they were involved in mortgage fraud. And that's why he ran. And he was not political. He's a framer that built houses and just dropped out of school in grade 6. But he knew that there was something wrong and threw everything against it. So I ran in tandem beside him in Kincardine so we could kind of do 2. But in 2014, number 1, election interference was still rampant. And the system and the banking system wasn't ready. But now we're in a jubilee. Now we're in a currency reset. Now we're in a political flip. And what I'm watching is what Trump's doing is he's actually republicing the nation. Well, we can republic at a local level by restoring the public component. So you have a public persona, but you also have a private way to live. So you have to have both, but they can't be merged. Like I said, if you mix God with mammon, you're screwed. So this is, I've been, this is art's work, but I didn't really know the whole money system. How did the mayor take control of our birth certificates? Like why? So I took about 18 months to reconstruct his work when I wrote the protocol to figure out that yes, the mayor would ultimately be the one responsible to administrate your birth certificate, all caps name, until you told him otherwise. And this is what we are telling the mayors now is, hey, I think that's a public security, man. And I think I have the highest claim to it, man. And I don't know what you're doing administrating it, but let's clarify that while we're here in small claims court. Let's correct all of the registration. The one that was made at my birth, the one that was made with my postal code with the municipality, and the one that was made apparently with the Vatican, who thinks they own my soul. So like we can just nullify this peacefully just by asking questions to it. But like James I said is the system was not ready until now, and even the Pope Francis, Pope Leo, Charles, and Trump all said that this is a jubilee year, a nullification, a reset of all debt. And all land right now is considered unceded, undeeded, and unincorporated. So it's up to us now to reset the land registries properly out of that MPAC electronic system. And then we have land control and rights back. And we're back to normal and balance. What we're doing now is off the rails, man.
Yeah.
So
100%. Thank you, sweetheart.
yeah, thank you.
Any other questions by any other members before we move on? Going once, going twice, sold. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, Sheila. I know my head is kind of doing this a little bit, but remember, members, if you're like me and you didn't take the links out of the chat, it's in the blog post. Remember, I showed you the button. You can push it. It'll take you right to it. It's www.shelaw.ca. That's SHELAW.ca.
Well, thanks ever so much, Ken. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to stay in touch with you.
I'm here.
All right, everybody, that's a wrap for tonight. And again, we purposely went over because first off, a lot of what Sheila's doing, or all of it, is very similar to what we've been doing, and the goals are very well aligned. And I think we spent our half an hour in training with Sheila, and I really appreciate that. So we'll let you off tonight, right now at 8. And again, thank you for coming out. I hope you enjoyed this evening and learned a little bit at the same time. We will see you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Love you all. Be safe.
Good night.